have been very clear for 30 years to the federal and the provincial government that fish farms are simply not welcome in our territory. It falls on deaf ears. Today, I'm so pleased to see so many take time out to come to this gathering, to join in on this outward migration, and say to DFO, to say to the powers that be, that wild salmon matter first. That's it. That's all. Fish farms gotta go. Move to closed containment.
I've heard the drums beating. We've always been told that our drums beat like a heartbeat amongst our First Nations people. But I've heard all of us beating together on the drum. We shall move forward to make every effort that Alexandra has done to ensure that there is a place for our children. That there is a place for our children yet unborn. That's a legacy that we have to leave behind. I've heard many times as a child when my father and my grandfathers used to tell of all of the salmon across the rivers, that we were able to at one time walk on those salmon to get to the other side. We can no longer do that. But today, the spiritual journey that our loved one has embarked upon is a journey of honor and integrity. And to each and every one of you, we hold our hands up to her.
When Alexandra Morton first came to the Broughton Archipelago, she used to come and ask me a million questions about fish. And I do know a little bit about fish. I've commercial fished for 60 years. I've lived in the Broughton Archipelago all my life, which is 74 years. And she went deckhanding with me for about 3 summers, and that's really what got her interested in the fishing industry, because she could see how important the fish were to this BC coast. 20 years ago, it was quite common to get 500 and 600 pink salmon a day when you were trolling. The last troll opening, it was in the Broughton. DFO sent 1 boat in to test fish, and in 3 days he got 12 fish. So that gives you a little idea how it was. Kinkum Inlet used to have anywhere up to 700,000 spawners. I think last year it had 126. And some of the streams, like Emily Lagoon, they saw 3 pink salmon in there, and I've witnessed runs of 300,000. And it just goes on and on and on and on. So. But the one thing we've got to really fight for is to get them farms on land or out of the water. DFO says we got to do more steadies. Christ has steadied everything to death as it is. How are we going to do more steadies? It's hopeless. So they said, they called us old farts in and told us that we had to tell them where the migration routes of the wild salmon were. This was about 18 or 20 years ago. So all of us fishermen in the Broughton and around Alert Bay and Sontula gathered in Alert Bay, and we drew up a map. And DFO put on them green zones, yellow zones, and red zones. And now out of 17 farms in the Broughton, there's 11 in the red zones where there was not supposed to be any. I'm so sick and tired of the lies that they put on. They say, oh, the North Pacific's dying, there's no feed up there. Last year, Russia and Alaska had record runs of fish, and they don't have no farms. But anyway, and lies that come from the fish farm industry, it's just atrocious what they're doing to us.
We need to take action now. I was able to introduce a bill, a private member's bill, 3 days ago, on Wednesday, in the House of Commons, calling for the transition to closed containment of all farms on the West Coast.
Absolutely incredible to be up here and see what's going on. Thank you everybody for coming out today. This is what has to happen. This is what Alex has needed for 10 years. So thank you everybody. All we want to do as volunteers is give a way for this passion and this energy that we see here today to make a real difference. So if you go to wildsalmoncircle.com tomorrow, We're going to have up there all your MLAs, anybody you need to get in touch with, MPs, so that you can take the message you're hearing here today to your representatives. That's wildsalmoncircle.com.
I realized earlier this year that it was time to go to do something else, because the last 2 talks I gave, all the people wanted to know. They didn't want to know about sea lice anymore. They just wanted to know what to do. And so I called Don and Anissa, because those 2 think so far out of the box. They don't know where the box is. And as soon as this idea fell out of a mouth, we got up. It was 10:30 at night. And we clocked how long it took to walk 1 kilometer, and we started planning the route. And from that point, all of you took over. People helped in every community. An amazing group collected around us and walked the whole way, cooking, making fires, keeping us safe on the road. The RCMP were phenomenal. And it all comes down to this. Do we live in a democracy or not? This is a test. When I left the Broughton Archipelago, I scooped up a jaw from a salmon. It's in the Meetup River. Some people call it the Viner. It's probably a chum salmon jaw. And I'm going to lay it on the steps of the Parliament building, because we have been a successful migration, and we can leave something behind. There's that many of us. We can be not as generous as the salmon, but we're taking that step. So thank you, every one of you. I'm almost wondering if I'm awake. I really think we can have our wild salmon now. Thank you.